Which of the following statements uses correct notation? So we have to know how to read symbols for what they mean in words. You can't just look at it as symbols, you have to translate it into a word. So this symbol here, we read it as angle. This symbol here would be congruent. So this is angle ABC is congruent to angle XYZ. Or over here, the new addition we have is M, and that you read it as measure. So the measure of the angle ABC is congruent to the measure of angle XYZ. So what is the difference between these two? So one has the M, which is the measure, and one does not talk about the measure, but they both have the congruent symbol. So we have to see what's the difference. Should we use the measure or not use the measure? So let's look at what are they even talking about. So angle ABC. If we're talking about angle ABC, then we're actually talking about an actual angle with vertex B. So this is angle ABC. And they're saying that this angle is congruent to another angle. So the other angle is called angle XYZ. And they're saying these two angles are congruent. And in this setup over here, we have the measure of the angle is congruent to the measure of this angle. So if I were to take the same situation, except over here they're talking about measures, and the measure is talking about the degrees of the angle. How many degrees is the measure? So let's just say it looks about, let's say 50 degrees. Since they're congruent, then I know that this is also 50 degrees. But in order to talk about the notation correctly, we know over here angles, we're talking about the actual parts, and I can say that these angles have the same parts. That's another way of thinking of congruence. They have the same parts. So when we're talking about congruence, you're talking about parts, and we can say that two angles have the same parts because we're referring to the actual thing of the drawing itself. Here we're talking about the degrees, but since congruence is talking about the parts and the degree measure is not talking about the parts, the degree measure is an actual number, then this over here is incorrect. So in order to fix this, they should have used equals, because you can have degree measures that are equal. 50 degrees is equal to 50 degrees. But over here we can't say they're equal because we're just talking about parts. So if we're referring to the parts in the drawing, you use congruence. And if we're referring to the actual degree measure, we use equals. And we also use M for measure. So this could have been fixed if we put equals, but since they want to know which one is the correct notation, we would go with this statement over here.